When you were young, there was a fire in your heart. You told yourself, one day I will live like this. One day I will create a life filled with meaning, joy, and freedom. Do you remember that promise? Somewhere along the way, between responsibilities, opinions of others, and the weight of survival, that promise quietly slipped away. And today, if you look closely, the life you are living may not be the one you once envisioned. The question is not about whether you have money, a family, or a career. The question is this the life you promised to yourself? Most people live like passengers in their own journey. They move where the crowd moves, they run where society pushes, and they settle where fear allows. But deep inside, there is still that voice, faint but alive, reminding you of what you truly longed for. Understand this: life is not endless. It is ticking away every moment. The only true wealth you have is not money, not possessions, not reputation, it is time. And once it's gone, it doesn't return. So if you are not living in alignment with your promise, you are spending your only wealth on something that will never fulfill you. Do not wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow has never come for anyone, it is always today. If you cannot begin now, when will you? Ask yourself. The work you are doing, does it bring aliveness to you? The people you surround yourself with, do they help you grow or shrink you down? The habits you hold, are they building the life you promised or burying it deeper? It is not too late. The promise you made to yourself was not a lie. It was the most honest moment of your life. Reclaim it. Shape your days consciously. Even small steps taken in the right direction are far better than a lifetime of drifting. When you go to bed at night, let there be at least one moment in the day where you can say, "Yes, today I lived the way I promised myself." If you can string enough of those days together, life will no longer feel like a burden. It will feel like a gift. So I ask you again, what about the life you promised to yourself? Will you honor it or let it fade away? The choice is entirely yours. Life is slipping away. Time is your only true wealth. Every moment that passes is not something you can hold in your hands, not something you can store in a box for later use. It is gone irretrievably. People often live as if time is endless, as if the clock has made a secret pact to wait for them. But the truth is, every tick is a reminder that you are moving closer to the end of this journey, whether you acknowledge it or not. You may count your money, you may display your possessions, you may wear your status like an ornament, but none of these things are yours in the truest sense. They can be taken away in an instant, or they may stay behind when you go. What belongs to you is only the stretch of life between birth and death, and within that, every breath, every passing second is the most precious currency you will ever own. When you were a child, time seemed abundant. Days felt endless, summers stretched beyond imagination, and the future appeared as a vast landscape waiting to be explored. But as years go by, you start to realize that what you thought was infinite is steadily shrinking. Days collapse into weeks, weeks vanish into months, and suddenly years have slipped by without notice. You begin to see how fragile this wealth truly is. It cannot be deposited in a bank. It cannot be borrowed from someone else. You cannot plead for more of it when it runs out. Yet people trade this sacred wealth as if it were nothing. They spend hours in distraction, in anger, in meaningless pursuits, in chasing approval, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. The illusion of permanence is perhaps the greatest deception. You tell yourself there will always be more time to start that project, to speak those words of love, to break those patterns of limitation. You postpone the very things that make life alive, believing the right moment is somewhere in the future. But the right moment is never in the future. The right moment is only now. Tomorrow is a promise nobody can make, not even the most powerful. Tomorrow is simply an idea. What you hold in your hands is today, and with each breath, today is dissolving into yesterday. Look closely at how you spend your time. If someone steals your money, you will be outraged, you will chase after them, you will demand justice. But if whole years of your life are stolen by unconscious living, by habits that drain you, by situations you tolerate out of fear, where is your outrage? Where is your urgency? You protect your possessions fiercely, but the most priceless possession is being squandered in silence. Time does not make noise when it leaves you. It does not announce its departure. It quietly slips through your fingers, and only when you look back do you realize how much is already gone. The tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is that we waste so much of it. A short life lived consciously, fully, intensely, can be richer than 100 years lived mechanically. To recognize that time is your true wealth is to awaken to the value of each passing day. You may not have control over how long your life will be, but you have complete control over how alive each moment becomes. If you treat time as sacred, every activity becomes meaningful, every encounter becomes significant, every breath becomes a miracle. But to treat time as sacred, you must become aware of how easily it is lost. Think of the countless hours spent worrying about things that never happened, the days consumed by resentment over past events that cannot be changed, the years surrendered to doing what you do not love because of fear or conformity. Imagine what could have been created, learned, or experienced in that same span. Imagine the richness of life if those wasted hours had been invested into growth, into love, into discovery, into creating the life you once promised yourself. The measure of wealth is not what you own, but how you use the irreplaceable moments that are given to you. People often ask, "How should I live? What should I do?" The answer is not in rigid formulas or borrowed philosophies. The answer is to recognize the fleeting nature of time and to live in a way where every moment feels valuable. Not valuable in the sense of productivity alone, but valuable in its depth, its presence, its alignment with who you truly are. Even simple moments when lived consciously become treasures. Sitting under a tree, listening to someone with your whole being, creating something with your hands, offering kindness without expecting return. These are not small things. They are moments in which your wealth of time is turned into genuine richness. If time is your true wealth, then you must also see that every distraction, every unconscious choice, every compromise that steals your vitality is a form of poverty. Poverty is not the lack of money. Poverty is the lack of aliveness in the moments you are given. When your days are filled with obligations that numb you, when your thoughts are trapped in cycles that diminish you, when your heart is burdened with things that do not matter, you are spending your wealth in ways that bring no return. And when the end arrives, as it surely will, no one regrets not having accumulated more money or more possessions. The only regret is of the time that was lost, the moments that were never lived, the wealth that was spent on emptiness. To awaken to this truth is not to become fearful, but to become alert. To see clearly that your wealth is fine. It is to live with a sense of immediacy, not of panic, but of preciousness. Each day is like a coin that can only be spent once. You can spend it on what drains you, or you can spend it on what fulfills you. You can invest it in building a life that feels authentic, or you can let it slip away into obligations and distractions. The choice is always there, though most remain blind to it. What you call your life is nothing but the accumulation of time. If you respect time, you respect life itself. If you waste time, you waste life itself. Recognizing this truth is the first step to reclaiming your wealth, not by stretching the length of your life, but by deepening the quality of each moment you are given. The life you promised to yourself is still waiting. Reclaim it now. Somewhere within you, there exists a version of yourself you once dreamed of becoming. A version unafraid to live authentically, unafraid to pursue what truly matters, unafraid to carve a path different from the one others laid out for you. That vision did not come to you by accident. It was the most honest whisper of your being, a glimpse of the life your inner self longed to create. But along the way, under the weight of expectations, under the fear of failure, under the pull of convenience and comfort, you set it aside. You told yourself you would return to it later, when the time was right, when the world made space for it. Yet the world rarely makes space. It fills every corner with noise, with obligations, with distractions, until you forget there was ever a promise at all. But the promise is not dead. It has not dissolved into nothing. It waits quietly inside you, waiting for the moment you turn your eyes inward and ask, "Is this the life I was meant to live?" The discomfort you sometimes feel, the sense that something is missing even when everything looks fine from the outside, is not emptiness. It is the memory of your promise tugging at you. It is the reminder that the life you are living and the life you longed for are not aligned. That tension is a gift. It is not there to make you suffer. It is there to wake you up. Reclaiming the life you promised to yourself does not necessarily mean grand revolutions. It does not always mean walking away from everything in a single dramatic gesture. It begins in small, courageous steps. It begins when you stop lying to yourself about what makes you feel alive. It begins when you admit that your choices so far may not reflect your deepest truth, and when you allow yourself to shift even slightly toward what does. To reclaim your promise is to remember that you are not here to simply function, not here to endlessly repeat patterns, not here to live only for others' approval. You are here to express the uniqueness of your being. For many, the promise is buried under layers of conditioning. From childhood, you were told what is safe, what is acceptable, what is successful. Perhaps you shaped yourself to fit those molds because belonging felt more important than becoming. But beneath all of that, the promise remained untouched. Think of it as a seed. Even if covered by heavy soil, even if neglected for years, the potential for life does not vanish. The moment light and water reach it, it can still grow. Your forgotten promise works the same way. The moment you give it attention, it begins to breathe again. The tragedy of life is not failing. The tragedy is succeeding at everything except the life you wanted most. You may build a career, you may create stability, you may gain recognition, but if none of it reflects your promise, the inner emptiness will remain. That promise is the compass of your existence. Ignore it, and you drift endlessly. Follow it, and even struggles take on meaning. The path may not be easy, but it is alive, and that aliveness itself is the fulfillment you seek. Reclaiming the life you promised yourself requires honesty. Honesty about what truly matters to you. Honesty about how you are spending your days. Honesty about whether your current path brings you closer or further from that vision. This honesty can feel uncomfortable because it strips away excuses. It forces you to see that waiting for the perfect conditions, waiting for permission, waiting for guarantees, has only delayed what could have already begun. The conditions may never be perfect, but your promise does not ask for perfection. It asks for commitment. It asks for you to begin. Many people mistake comfort for fulfillment. They settle into routines that keep them safe but unfulfilled. They convince themselves that the fire they once felt was childish or unrealistic. Yet deep down, they know the truth. Safety without growth, comfort without authenticity, is a slow suffocation. The life you promised to yourself may challenge you, may stretch you, may demand more courage than you think you have, but it will also bring a sense of freedom no comfort zone can match. Do not underestimate the quiet power of choosing even one action that honors your promise. It could be as simple as dedicating time each day to something you love, as simple as saying no to what drains you, as simple as surrounding yourself with people who remind you of your deeper vision. Each choice is like clearing the dust off an old mirror. With every choice, the reflection of the life you promised becomes clearer. With every choice, the gap between who you are and who you long to be narrows. The life you promised to yourself is not an illusion. It is the truest part of you, waiting for expression. No matter how much time has passed, no matter how many detours you have taken, it is not too late to turn toward it. Time may have slipped by, but life responds to sincerity in the present moment. What matters is not how long you have been away from your promise, but how willing you are to return to it now. Every day, take at least one step that honors your inner promise. The life you dream of does not arrive in one dramatic leap. It is built step by step, choice by choice, moment by moment. Too often people imagine transformation as something sudden, a lightning strike that changes everything at once. But real change is quieter, slower, more deliberate. It is hidden inside the small acts you repeat daily. It is in the way you use your time, the way you treat yourself, the way you respond to life's demands. Each step may feel insignificant in the moment, but when you look back, you will see that those tiny steps formed the path toward the life you once promised yourself. The challenge for many is that they wait for a grand moment to begin. They believe they need the perfect opportunity, the perfect plan, the perfect circumstances. But perfection is another form of postponement. Life never unfolds in a straight, flawless line. Waiting for everything to align is just another way of avoiding the courage to take the first step. A single step may look small, but it carries enormous power because it shifts you from dreaming into doing, from wishing into becoming. Think of the life you long for as a mountain. Standing at the base, the summit may seem impossibly far. If you stare too long at the distance, you may feel overwhelmed and freeze in place. But if you commit to just one step today and another tomorrow, slowly the distance shrinks. You may not notice the progress each day, but one morning you will look around and realize you are already halfway up. That realization only comes because of the consistency of small steps. Honoring your inner promise does not mean you must append your entire life in a single gesture. It means that whatever situation you are in, you make room each day for something that aligns with your deeper self. If your work drains you, then take one step outside of it that nourishes you. If your environment limits you, then take one step to expand your awareness or your skills. If your habits keep you stagnant, then replace even one of them with something that strengthens your aliveness. The power is not in the scale of the step, but in its direction. Each day offers countless opportunities to honor your promise, but only if you are conscious. You can choose to spend an hour lost in distraction or an hour moving closer to your vision. You can choose to stay silent about your truth or to voice it gently but firmly. You can choose to continue with patterns that keep you stuck or to interrupt them, even if only once. Every small act is like a seed. Plant it today, water it tomorrow, and in time it becomes a tree that shapes your entire landscape. The mind often underestimates what small actions can do. It tells you, this is not enough, this is too little, this will not matter. But life does not transform through occasional grand efforts. It transforms through consistent, steady choices. A drop of water falling on stone seems weak, but over years it carves a path. In the same way, daily steps carve the path toward the life you promised yourself. What seems minor today can become monumental over time. There will be days when the steps feel meaningless, when progress feels invisible. This is when most people abandon their path. They expect results quickly, and when they do not see them, they assume the effort is wasted. But the truth is that change often grows underground before it appears on the surface. Like roots spreading before a tree breaks through the soil, your daily actions prepare the foundation before the results become visible. Trust the process, even when the surface seems still. Honoring your inner promise is not about perfection but persistence. You may stumble, you may take detours, you may lose focus. But as long as you return to that one step each day, you remain on the path. Forgive yourself when you fall short, but do not abandon the commitment entirely. The strength of your promise lies not in never failing, but in always returning. Every day carries within it a choice to drift or to align, to move unconsciously through habits and expectations, or to take one conscious action that affirms who you truly are. The step may be small, but it is a declaration. I have not forgotten my promise. I am willing to honor it even in the smallest of ways. Over time, those declarations gather into momentum, and momentum shapes destiny,